Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Menkov. I'm a ruling reality coach, and I'm continuing my series, Daily Reality with Alex. Today is 31st of March, 2023. It is the end of the quarter, and a lot of us that are in the business are constantly observing each quarter and are working with the different tendencies that are going to appear or are evaluating and measuring what has happened during the last quarter. But I would like to speak today about the essence in the reality or the reality of essence. And for me, as a ruling reality coach, it is a very interesting part of the human being and the essence as a whole that we are all to explore. The question raised in me when I was thinking about the tendencies of change and how everyone is now trying to be a better version of himself, or this type of movement of the future self, and that we are constantly trying to change ourselves. But for me personally, it is very important to understand in the structure of reality, is it possible at all to change, and what part of us is actually changing and which part is not able and possible to be changed. And for me, this is a very important subject, because only if we change the context without changing the content, still we are experiencing the so-called imagination or the feeling of change, because we have changed the perspective. And still the content is possible to not have been changed. So when we are speaking about change, when we are speaking about progress, when we are speaking about performance, when we are speaking about development, when we are speaking about improvement, what are we actually improving and what are we actually changing or shifting all the time within ourselves? The big question starts with the I am statement and the identities that we are putting or striving for, or we are trying to have in the physical materiality. But the I amness is not able and is never changing. The I amness of each of the beings is 100% absolute constant. So if the I amness is not changing, what is changing if the who is never changing? Because from the perspective of the mind and from the perspective of the five senses, something is changing. So you can ask me, Alex, so you are willing to tell me that when a baby is born, its essence, its I amness is not changing during all its life expressions while it is alive? Then what is changing? For sure, all of us can say that the bodies of all of us are changing, from the baby to the child, to the young adult, to the elder, and so on. For sure, our bodies are changing. Everything around us in the physical matter reality is changing. Our behaviors are changing constantly. Our attitudes are changing constantly. For some of us, even our faiths, our worldviews are changing constantly. One day, for example, we can be flat earthers, the next month or the next year, we can be global world viewers. We can express a geocentric reality or a solar-centric reality. And we can shift and change depending on the different proofs that we are receiving from the physical matter reality and what the scientists that are constantly monitoring the physical matter reality are telling to us. But it is a very important distinguish which we are to understand in the construct of reality if we are willing to understand what exactly is happening. So I'm stating that the absolute essence of each of the persons and the beings, these more than 8 billion beings, is not changing, but what is non-stop improving or changing or declining or going into different expressions is the so-called appearance and the appearance of the essence. Since the essence which is in us is not changing, but we are still developing, adapting our mindfulness, our feeling, our energy, our body expressions, and a lot of other things regarding behavior, predictions, predictabilities, and so on, which are the only things that are able to change. How are we to know where is our essence that is unchangeable and it is 100% absolute, and what exactly we are doing with this essence in reality, and what this essence can do? It can do only one thing. Some people are saying that it is awakening or a sleep mode. In the Bible, we as human beings that have the spirit, and if we can say that the spirit is the essence, you are alive in the spirit, or alive means connected to the absolute creator, or if you are disconnected with the above and the absolute creator, you are in a disconnected state. It is called that spirit or essence that is disconnected. Then once we ask, okay, Alex, but who is the one that is actually ruling all the time our behaviors? Who is deciding? And what are we able to decide? Our essence is the one that is constantly expressing different appearances. So the so-called identities that we are labeling ourselves with are the different appearances. So for example, if I am a business person, because of my doingness and the way that I'm appearing in the physical matter reality, I, through my essence, express myself into this specific field. If I'm a worker, I'm expressing the same essence that I have as someone that is supporting a business of some other guy. And actually, all the time, through the so-called limitations of reality, because in reality, we are limited with what and to what extent we can express out of our essence into the physical matter reality, because our essence is not a physical materiality. I explore a lot, and a lot of people are asking all the time, because we have heard about the soul, but the soul is not us. The soul is not the essence. The soul is the expression of the essence. And it is very interesting, according to me, because all of us are entering this reality 100% empty, with only the essence of the I. And of course, first, in order to be able to adapt to the specific age, to the specific expressions, to what is happening in this moment of time, we have these first 7 years of adaptability, while we are, through mirroring, able to actually come into the specification of the expressions of the realities that are around us in order to be adequate, so to say. But still, this essence is only allowing more and more to be expressed out of it, or when we become more adult, we are starting, through dogmatic thinking, to stop expressing our essence. And we are starting, and all of us as human beings are constantly chasing in the game of appearance. My essence is able and is willing to appear as a rich business person. Some other essence is appearing as a poor person. Some other essence is expressing different things in reality, and then we are starting to chase each other, which limitations are much more interesting, much more valuable in the specific moment, and which type of expressions of limitations are in the moment trendy. If in the moment, for example, the expression of the essence of being poor is very trendy, all of us are going to strive to be more poor than anybody else. Since in this age that we are living, it's much more trendy to be accumulating material things, and this is what validates all of us in reality. We are constantly trying to express our essence in such a way that we are collecting a lot of heaviness, that all our doingness is, to some extent, very much and strongly put into what we are counting as valuable appearance for the others, for the society, or for ourselves to gaze at. Then it is very interesting with the expression of this essence, or if we are not allowing ourselves to express this essence, but we can retranslate a lot of other appearances that are already standard, and we can really suffocate and deaden our essence. We are making our essence to not flourish, but on the contrary. And long term, if we are sure that this is the most important thing for the body, for the mind, for the feelings, and everything else is to give space and to allow our most vulnerable part, called the essence, to be expressed as much as possible, then actually we are more and more being in an ability to really give our gift for all of us, because in our essence is where our core expression is. And that's why this is what I'm doing during my daily experience, because all of us have not more or less than 33,000 daily cycles in which we are deciding what are we going to do. First of all, are we recognizing our essence, and are we willing to express it in many different ways, or are we going through the daily reality, suppress it and not allow it to flourish? Because only in our essence we are limitless. We are eternal in a sense. And during this life experience, we are to educate ourselves how this essence to be connected with the Creator in order to express as much as possible of the absoluteness of the image of what is possible. And then all the different types of expressions start to not matter anymore, and we are going to stop comparing with each other, because what is going to become more important for each of us is to what extent we are able to express the essence that is 100% the only thing that is beneficial for all of us through our mutual communication, collaboration, and interaction. And long term, the so-called essence is something that is 100% not, and is not possible to be developed. It's not possible through the efforts of the body, the mind, the mindset, the thinking, the concentration, the focus to be improved or to be disintegrated. The only thing we as human abilities that we can do is just to allow this essence to be more and more visible and present. And in a sense, we are to subdue ourselves, our mind, our feeling, our energetic powers, and everything that is within us to the most weak and vulnerable part of us, the essence. And only once we invert everything in us, then we are able to live and to express ourselves in full maturation. Otherwise, what we are calling the ego is when the mindfulness and the logical part of us is trying to force expressions and appearances which are logically and predictably validating for the mind and are the 100% adaptive regarding the circumstances around. And that's why we are calling it the survival part of us, because it is not malevolent, but it is just its function to try to protect us. But while we are trying to survive and to protect ourselves, what we are doing is that we are not allowing our essence to be expressed. So paradoxically, if we want to be strong, if we want to be influential, if we want to be expressive in this reality, we are to become weak and vulnerable by expressing our essence and the part of us which is the most weak and the most able to be 100% attacked from everything around, but only through this type of living our reality, because this is the only thing in us that is 100% validated from the above and is creating a real connection where reality has no other option but to support this essence to be expressed. And that's why actually our weakest point in our being is the most powerful tool and substance that all of us are having as an asset. And if we are learning to use it as much as possible, it is going to create a wonderful things for us. Of course, the big problem is that the mind cannot control the essence. The mind cannot grasp it, and it is going to create constantly discomfort for our expressions. But the intuition that is deep inside of us and from time to time is giving us 100% illogical urges to express the essence. If we are tapping more and more into it, it is going to create much more connection between the absolute in us and the absolute, which is the above. Everything that is not in the absolute is the so-called deviations of the different type of expressions. And that's why from a long time ago, I have decided to not defend any of my outside appearances. I'm not the one that is identifying myself with the heaviness and the ecosystem that is creating around me. I'm not defining myself with all the doingness or even with all the beingness, because even the beingness is part of the expressions in reality. And what is precious in reality is only the essence which is in each one of us. And this is a small reflection of how I'm strongly using and am eager whenever it's possible to express as much as it's possible from my essence. And I have changed the definition for change, because for me, change is not more, or development or growth is nothing more than allowing myself to express more of my essence of who I am. And since the essence is not able to be improved, is not able to be changed, it's always absolute, then all my efforts to improve are not necessary, because instead of trying to constantly improve my appearances, the only thing I can do is to allow more of my authentic essence to be expressed. And this is what I'm striving for the future. And that's why I'm not urging anyone to just chase his better versions, because there has never been and there will never be a better version of any one of us, but the one that we already are. And then the only thing we are doing with our daily reality is to constantly allow ourselves to express more of what we already are. Thank you for watching. For me, it was very important today to give you the distinction between essence and appearance, because this is so powerful. None of us need to do anything more but just allow ourselves to express who we are. Enjoy your reality, be brave and bold to express your essence, because this absolute essence of all of us is everything that makes sense in this reality. Bye-bye and enjoy your weekend.